Hey guys, ZenAku here with just a short to medium video about my experience at Kuachicon. Basically, my experience with what I think I could have done better, what I did well, and just basically the whole LAN experience. First off, it's actually fucking amazing. Really, congratulations to Kuachi for running something for the first time and doing such a good job with it. Also, special mention to Four Seasons Gaming. Mix05 did actually like a really good job. I know he gets a lot of shit sometimes because of um, just people not happy with the tournament setups, but actually at the end of the day he did a really good job. People really, he managed to get this tournament done within the time they need to do it, so it was really good. So I've got a couple of notes here, so I'll quickly go through them. So I'm basically going to talk about the problems that I had with my games, what I did well, my general gameplay, the LAN experience, which I feel like finally has kind of come through, but obviously still kind of improvements I need to make, and the champion setups, which I feel like I kind of lost out on. Mainly because I feel like I actually didn't have very much experience versus the people that came first and second, Dan and Stage. They like to play pretty exclusively with each other, and I don't occasionally get to play with them. For whatever reason or another, I need to really get in on that or do something about that. But anyway, yeah. First off, on day one, I was already starting to get sick just straight before the event, but actually, funnily enough, I was feeling pretty good during the games. Uh, First one I'll talk about, Phrase versus me. Uh, Again, champion setups. First map, Clutch versus Nix on Sarnath. I barely managed to win that map. It's actually something that's meant to be not too bad, but you have to play it a certain way, and uh, he almost beat me on it. And to be honest, a lot of the time I was really thinking that, he's Phrase is a really experienced player. Really didn't want to lose to him because I just didn't want to be embarrassed by the fact that I've been playing for so long. He's been playing for like 2 weeks, and he's been able to make it that close. But that's more of a psychological thing. It's more of a sense of like it didn't actually really matter if I had won or lost, but that's kind of a part of that too. And I actually almost made a mistake, and that almost cost me it. He was really smart about it too. The next map we played was Molten. It was Solag versus Ranger. The entire time, all I'm thinking is, I hope to God he just doesn't pick a heavy character, because a heavy character is pretty much the only thing that would have like a really close chance to being able to beat me, because versus heavy characters, if you're just hitting a lot of damage, it doesn't matter what your control is like, you're just doing a lot. And he played Solag, and I had to play very kind of conservative to make sure I didn't just lose. Next was, I think I actually played Dan next, and that was probably one of my closest games as well. Visor vs BJ on Sarnath. Finally figured out how to make Sarnath my map. I was actually so shit at it for so long on round based. But just kind of how time limit and how the abilities work and just the cycling, I've really been able to master that, which is good. Won the first map. Second map, Ranger vs Doom, went to overtime. Very specific move that Dan did. I'm not sure if he's aware of it. I'm sure he totally is. Which is just before sudden death, the big armor and the mega spawn at the same time. And I'm aware that he can delay the armor, but I won't know what the time is. Same way that I can delay the mega, I won't know what the time is. But instead, I'm aware of it for 1 second, but I still pick up the mega because I think like, oh, just whatever. Anyway, he delays it for about 7 seconds, something like that. The next cycle of items, we're at the mega, we're fighting for it. He knows that it should spawn at least this point and onwards. Okay, he does damage. I'm in a worse position. Then we run over to the big armor, and obviously he actually does a better trade-off at the mega as we cross through mid. We get to the big armor, I get there early, have to leave because it's obviously not spawning yet. He comes for it, gets it, has full control, and just makes a play off that. Which I'll never fucking forget that now. Because in the same way, actually, Dan's taught me a lot of things about specific moments where I'm like, well, and it's really crucial. You always see more things like slowly come up through these games. The next thing was Anarchy vs Gleaner on CK. I don't know how to fucking play Anarchy. I don't know why I picked it. I just thought that like he picked Gleaner. I think Eisen was banned. I just really wanted something pretty good for that map. I actually was doing pretty well, but when I was trying to come back on it, I just don't know how to use the character well enough. Got my ass kicked. The game was like 13-7 or something. Next was Steege versus me. Again, pretty damn close as well. Some things about this. Gleaner versus Anarchy on CK. You can make Anarchy work, but you have to pretty much play it perfectly. He almost did. Galena, I feel like, has just an easier time because there's less things you have to do. The next map was Ranger vs Clutch on Blood Run. That was retarded by me. I shouldn't have picked Clutch. It's actually not that bad, but he was hitting a lot of damage, and you have to play very conservative, and I was probably being a bit too ambitious in this. That was kind of my whole mindset about this tournament, about how I was going through it, so I'll mention that in a second. The next map was Solag vs Scale on Vale. I couldn't fucking hear anything. I don't know, there's like a Dota room behind me. I don't want to use that as an excuse. I actually genuinely lost anyway. He was actually playing better. There were a lot of moments where he executed, I'm not sure if he was aware of it or not, but pretty much perfectly to what he needed to do in terms of the damage cycle of how you do the Scale Bearer combo, which Rocket, you absorb rocket damage with the ability, you hit the ability, you do another damage. He still was on 50 HP, obviously dead after that. Looking back at the VOD, there's multiple times he's like 1 HP after I rail him. Anyway, that's part of the process, right? I'll quickly mention now before I forget, my mentality for this tournament, which I think is probably one of the major reasons why I lost, was the last time I played a DreamHack Winter, I really wanted to make sure that, I had this idea that if you played aggressive on LAN, it's a different kind of experience because you're forcing the other person to kind of react to you, obviously. And that actually has a lot of legitimacy to it because you're kind of like, everybody starts making more mistakes as you're not so comfortable where you usually used to, and it works pretty well. It did, but to the point where when I played versus someone who with a bit more experience, someone like Dan, and even just like, people might say it's stupid, I think there's actually a lot of legitimacy to this, but people's personalities and how they're reflected in the game. So for example, the way that I play the game, very conservative, still like to be, how do I say, just aware of what's everything that's happening and what my possibilities are. Sometimes I don't always see those possibilities, and that's also a reflection of what I would do in real life as well. Dan, in my opinion, a really cool guy. He's just very assertive, or he likes to be very, just always there on the map. In this tournament, I was playing very more forward pacing, and the person who I struggled versus the most with was Dan, because of specifically the reasons like that. I was trying to force mistakes, and specifically, actually later on, I was playing Ranger vs Solag on Corrupted. I was the Solag, and he was just doing everything. He was just almost kicking my ass. The game was still quite close, but he was just doing consistently damage because he was always on the map, whereas someone else who's not doing something like that, I'd actually have a much easier time. So kind of being more aware of stuff like that during, those lands. Lost to stage 2-1. Versus Python, I was pretty, this is 6 o'clock after I played 8 best of 3s at this point. He played really well. I lost that series. Played the wrong character on Corrupted. Not much to say. I think at this point in particular, there's one thing that I really wanted to mention is how mental fatigue, particularly playing Quake, or even just video games or anything that of a sporting nature, is people will try to take advantage of just any the micro situations. So if you're just not willing to fight over the micro decisions, you're just not going to win. Because my idea of it was, as soon as something small would happen, I would get pissed off about it, then it would be almost impossible because there are multiple things to get fucking angry but multiple things to get frustrated about, because you're constantly taking damage, you're constantly being surprised because of you just take a little bit of LG damage here or something like that, and you're not hitting the shot you need to hit. I was pretty over it at that point. I lost 2-1. Didn't really matter, actually. Still ended up being 3rd seed on that day. The next, it's almost finished, guys, don't worry, but it's actually still pretty relevant. Day 2, finally get my revenge. I beat Stage 2-0, which is fantastic. Nyx versus Ranger on Blood Run. Probably Nyx has the advantage, definitely, on that map. I was hitting some really good damage strings. It was a really good game to watch if you guys want to watch that one. And then it was just hard for him to come back. Galena versus Eisen on Sarnath. I was the Eisen. Now, at this point, I was really feeling it because I really wanted to obviously win this series again. My ego, my mentality, possibly just getting in the way of me able to do what I could really do. And yeah, actually, the game had negative scores up until about 7 minutes or something like that because we kept killing ourselves. I was kind of being more aggressive than I should have. And then what's really interesting about that moment though is that once I was able to, I could actually feel it within myself. I could really tighten it back up, and that's when the game started to get more even. People will look at that game and be like, "That was stupid" or something like that. But actually, it's if you think of like logically on paper how that situation plays out. If the Galena has full control on Sineth, and you're kept at on the and you're kept at the big armor with the Eisen turret, you pretty much have to like do a timing based on when the Mega gets picked up, delete all the totems so he doesn't have random overstack during the next fight, while you're running around the map where he doesn't do much damage to you. You still get the big armor, and then you make another play off that. Or some variation of that type of situation. Which is pretty much what happened actually. Like, he picked up the Mega, I finally moved out of bottom so I could actually, have some kind of presence on the map. I did a good trade. He ended up getting another armor. I stuck around a little bit too long, did good damage, and he just ended up losing from there. 2 more games, almost finished. Me versus Dan, upper bracket final. Best of 5. Again, wrong champion picks. Nyx versus Visor on Bloodcarve. I know it's doable. I just played like shit. Dan really knows how to like really take a lot of advantage on that, and Nyx is the character I just don't know how to really make a lot of progress on that, I guess, in terms of like being able to come back when someone has a lot of damage, or using the Ghost Walk in particular ways to actually have presence rather than just kind of using it at a weak moment. Then there's almost no chance if they can string together good enough damage. Ranger vs Solag, what I was talking about my mentality, where I was basically getting too assertive in my mindset, and I was thinking that, oh yeah, I'll just be forward thinking and I'll just win the game. And obviously he just, was also forward thinking, and in this particular matchup he obviously has a bit like a better advantage in that way. At least personally I think that's true. Galena vs Athena on Molten. Have to watch that game again. I think I threw away a couple of too many frags early on. I did actually do a really good job coming back later. That's also pretty fun to watch. Missed like 2 jumps while I'm chasing him at the very end that really cost me, which I think I could have done something about that. Last game, really quick again. Doom vs Ranger Awoken, too aggressive, not enough pressure on the map. Nyx vs Anarchy on Bloodcarve. I'm not actually motivated. I want to win the game so bad, and I know he really wants to win it too, but I'm like more dependent on the result. Mick's gonna fucking love me quoting him on this, but he always talks about outcome independence rather than outcome dependence. So pretty much I really wanted to, I needed to win, whereas Steege wanted to win. And there's a very different like internal feeling you have about how you're playing the game. And I wouldn't say I necessarily gave it to him, but I definitely made it easier, and he was able to win from that. Well, that's it, guys. If you managed to make it this far, Jesus, you've done a good job, and I hope that was beneficial in some regard. Just basically, if you look back at those games, maybe you can like see how I kind of thought about it myself as well. Really, a lot of thanks to Cooked Esports. Basically, Marcus or Dirtbox taking care of Murder and I while we were down there, so that was really cool. And of course, actually, Dirtbox really almost didn't mention he managed to come 7th, where he was basically like didn't do it very well in the qualifiers at all, and didn't do very much practice. Was doing other stuff instead, and did pretty well. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I really hope we do well in the online qualifiers coming up for Quake Pro League. And I think we're definitely going to do more stuff related to content. We're just going to see if that's going to work for myself, work for Cooked Esports, or if we can make something more about that. But it's definitely a path to work on. It's not just going to happen straight away. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be sure to answer them. Alright, we'll see you next time. Catch ya. Alright guys, one more thing I wanted to mention is that we're announcing the Cooked Esports Academy. Basically what that's going to be is we're bringing on 2 upcoming Australian Quake players, and we're just going to coach them to see how far they can get, and hopefully push into the Elite Division. This is something I really think the community could benefit for, and I think it'll just be a good thing for Cooked Esports of what we're trying to be in the community, and yeah, just being a presence there. Anyway, guys, be sure to look out for that. And yeah, it's coming up soon. So anyway, I'll see you next time.